Hark, gather ye round, good gentlefolk, for I shall regale thee with a most curious chronicle of wizards and their wondrous ways. In yonder lands where dragons doth prance and fairies flit about like frenzied fireflies at a festival, there existed a cadre of conjurers, those illustrious wielders of the arcane arts. Picture, if thou wilt, the venerable Merlin, whose mighty magic could make mountains move and rivers reverse their course. And lo, behold Gandalf, that gallant grey wizard whose gambits were as grand as his beard was bushy. In this realm of whimsy and wizardry, one might ponder the peculiarities of spellcasting, forsooth. The art of magic is not merely a matter of waving wands and uttering incantations, nay, it is an intricate interplay of intention and imagination. 'Tis said that the finest spells are spun from the very fabric of folly itself, absurdity being the secret source to sorcery. Thusly let us embark upon an exploration into the eccentric education of aspiring enchanters. Now picture this, a classroom bedecked in bizarre baubles and trinkets galore. Herein lies Professor Pumpernickel Puddlejump, a name that rolls off the tongue like a slippery eel on a soap-slicked floor. With his wild hair, resembling a nest of caffeinated squirrels and spectacles perched precariously upon his nose, he doth instruct his pupils in the fine art of spellcrafting. To conjure chaos, he exclaims with fervour, one must first master the mystical mantra, abracadabra, alakazam. But beware, utter it thrice whilst hopping on one foot to avoid calamity. As the students fumble through their first attempts at enchantment, one cannot help but chuckle at their comical catastrophes. A lad named Timmy Twiddlefingers accidentally turned his pet goldfish into a rather disgruntled dragonfly, an unfortunate transformation indeed. Meanwhile, Lady Lollygagging's attempt to summon sweetmeats resulted in an avalanche of gummy bears raining down upon her head, a sugary spectacle that left all in stitches. Yet amidst this merry mayhem arises an air of anticipation for Professor Puddlejump's piece de resistance, the spell of surreal synthesis. This spell, he declares with theatrical flair, shall allow thee to blend two disparate elements into one fantastical form. The students' eyes widen with wonder as they envision themselves crafting creatures beyond comprehension, perhaps a cat-dog hybrid or even a unicorn with roller skates. But lo, just as excitement reaches its zenith, our dear professor reveals an unexpected twist, a twist so twisted it could tie itself into knots worthy of any jester's jest. Alas, he cries dramatically, this spell requires not only creativity but also copious quantities of custard. A collective gasp echoes through the chamber. Custard? What manner of madness is this? With quizzical expressions plastered upon their faces, the students scramble to procure this peculiar potion. Custard pots are overturned, custard cascades like golden rain across the classroom floor, an absurd sight indeed. Yet amidst this culinary chaos emerges an unforeseen consequence. Timmy's dragonfly now possesses an insatiable appetite for custard. As pandemonium ensues, with dragonflies darting about devouring custard by the gallon, the lesson takes an unexpected turn toward enlightenment. Professor Puddlejump chuckles heartily as he observes his pupils learning valuable lessons about responsibility and magic. Remember, he intones sagely between fits of laughter, with great power comes great messiness. Thus concludes our whimsical wander through wizardry, a tale woven with threads both absurd and arcane. As our young sorcerers clean up their custardy catastrophe amidst peals of laughter and newfound wisdom, they learn that true magic lies not just in spells, but in camaraderie and creativity. And so we bid adieu to our enchanted escapade, until next time when dragons dance anew. In the quaint and quizzical realm of wizardry, where wands waggle and spells swirl, there doth occur a most peculiar pageantry known as the Festival of Fizzlebang. This festivity, famed for its flamboyant frolics and fantastical follies, beckons wizards from far and wide to don their tallest hats. Hats so high they could tickle the very clouds. With robes radiant as 1,000 suns, these sorcerers strut and prance in perplexing patterns that would befuddle even the most astute of owls. As the sun doth rise upon this raucous revelry, one cannot help but behold the sight of wizards sipping potions brewed from Flibberty Gibbet root, a root renowned for its rib-tickling properties. With each sip, a cacophony of giggles erupts, echoing through the enchanted air like a symphony of silliness. Indeed, magic hath never been so mirthful, yet amidst this jovial jubilation lies an arcane lesson waiting to unfold. "Gather ye round," bellowed Master Wobblewort, a wizard with a beard so bushy it could house a family of squirrels. "Today we shall teach thee the art of absurdum incantatum." His voice boomed with bravado as he waved his wand in wild abandon. The crowd gasped, for this spell was said to conjure chaos from clarity, a most curious concept indeed. With a flourish and a flicker, Master Wobblewort demonstrated the spell by transforming his own hat into a dancing octopus. "Behold!" he exclaimed with exaggerated enthusiasm. "A splendid spectacle indeed, but beware, this spell is not for the faint-hearted nor those lacking in levity." The audience erupted in laughter, their bellies shaking like jelly on a windy day. Yet lo, as the merriment reached its zenith, an unexpected twist unfurled before their very eyes. Young Elspeth Twiddlefingers, a novice with an affinity for mischief, attempted to replicate the spell, but instead summoned forth an army of giggling gnomes. These gnomes pranced about with such fervour that they began to juggle enchanted eggs that exploded into confetti upon impact. "Foul folly!" cried Master Wobblewort as he attempted to regain control of his chaotic classroom. "Elspeth, thou hast unleashed an unholy horde of hilarity!" But Elspeth merely chuckled, her eyes twinkling with delight at her unintended triumph. The gnomes continued their capers, causing mayhem amongst the spectators, who were now rolling on the ground in fits of laughter. In that moment of pandemonium, something extraordinary occurred. The gnomes began to chant in unison. Absurdum incantatum, let laughter reign supreme. Their voices harmonized like a choir of whimsical wind chimes. It was then that Master Wobblewort realized that perhaps Elspeth's blunder was not one at all. Rather, it was an unforeseen enhancement to the original spell. "By my beard," he exclaimed with newfound vigor, "thou hast stumbled upon a new incantation, Giglus Nemorum, a spell that transforms chaos into camaraderie through uncontrollable laughter." The crowd erupted once more into applause and cheers as they embraced this delightful twist in their magical education. Thus did the Festival of Fizzlebang become not merely a celebration, but also an enlightening experience, a testament to how even mishaps can lead to marvelous discoveries within the realm of magic. Wizards danced beneath twinkling stars while sipping flibbity-gibbet potions, forever changed by their encounter with giggling gnomes and newfound spells. And so it was written in tomes thick with dust and delight. In magic's embrace lies not just power, but also profound joy. For what is wizardry without whimsy? As they departed under moonlit skies adorned with shimmering stardust, each wizard carried forth not only tall hats and radiant robes, but also hearts brimming with laughter, a legacy far greater than any spell could conjure. In yonder days of yore, when wizards wielded wands with whimsical wonder, there existed a most peculiar pedagogue named Master Wizzlewump. This venerable wizard, with a beard as long as a dragon's tail and spectacles that sparkled like starlit skies, took it upon himself to instruct the eager apprentices in the arcane arts. "Gather ye round," quoth he, his voice echoing through the hallowed halls of the Academy of Absurdity. "Today we shall embark upon an enchanting expedition into the realm of levitation and llamas." With a flick of his wrist and a flourish most flamboyant, Master Wizzlewump summoned forth a llama, a creature both ludicrous and lovely. "Behold the levitating llama," he proclaimed, as the beast ascended into the air like a feather caught in a fanciful breeze. Yet lo, as fate would have it, one hapless apprentice mispronounced the incantation. Abracadabra became abracadammit, and instead of levitating llamas, they found themselves beset by an avalanche of toadstools raining down from above. "Yikes!" exclaimed Wizzlewump, "'tis but a trifling mishap, let us not tarry in terror." As laughter erupted amongst the students, Master Wizzlewump seized this moment to impart wisdom wrapped in wit. "Remember, dear disciples," he chortled, with sarcasm dripping from his tongue, "the art of magic is not merely in the words we utter, but in the precision with which we pronounce them. Forsooth! Mispronounce abracadabra, and thou shalt be transformed into a toadstool, or worse yet, an unsightly mushroom." The apprentices giggled at this absurdity while pondering their own potential fates. Yet amidst this merriment arose an unexpected twist. A new spell had been discovered. It was whispered among ancient tomes that one could conjure scintillating storms with naught but an incantation so convoluted it twisted tongues like pretzels at a fair. "Prepare thyselves for tempestatis luminosus," bellowed Wizzlewump dramatically. "But heed my warning, utter it thrice whilst hopping on one foot whilst balancing a banana upon thy head." The apprentices exchanged glances, filled with incredulity. Surely such silliness could not summon storms. But curiosity piqued their interest more than caution quelled their enthusiasm. One brave soul stepped forth, young Elspeth, with her heart set on stormy splendor. With alliteration aplenty, she chanted, "Tempestatis luminosus, tempestatis luminosus, tempestatis luminosus." And lo, a tempest brewed above them, a swirling maelstrom of colors that danced like fireflies at dusk. However, as thunder rumbled and lightning crackled ominously overhead, Master Wizzlewump's eyes widened in horror. "Nay, I did forget to mention," he stammered amidst chaos, "that this spell also summons llamas!" Just as he spoke those fateful words, dozens of llamas descended from the sky like fluffy meteors, each adorned with glittering capes and hats befitting royalty. The scene was pandemonium. Llamas leapt and pranced about, while rain poured down in vibrant hues. The apprentices squealed with delight as they dodged both llamas and raindrops alike. In that moment of absurdity, their laughter mingling with magical mayhem, they learned that sometimes spells do not yield expected results, but rather lead to delightful disasters. As calm returned after the storm subsided, alongside several bewildered llamas, Master Wizzlewump gathered his students once more. "Dear pupils," he intoned gravely yet playfully, "let this day serve as testament to thy training. Magic is unpredictable. Embrace its eccentricities and never underestimate the power of pronunciation, or llamas." With that sage advice echoing through their minds, they left with hearts full of mirth and minds brimming with newfound knowledge. Thus concludes our whimsical wander through wizardly teachings, a tale woven with threads of absurdity and sprinkled generously with sarcasm. Remember well, whether summoning scintillating storms or levitating llamas, always mind thy words lest ye become an unwitting toadstool. In a quaint and quizzical corner of the cosmos, where the clouds conspired with the sun to create a kaleidoscope of colours, there resided a most peculiar personage known as Sir Wobblebottom McFluffernutter. Alas, this illustrious individual found himself ensnared in an enchantment most egregious. Forsooth, an overzealous wizard, in his fervour to concoct a spell of splendid sophistication, had inadvertently bewitched our dear Sir Wobblebottom into a state of perpetual perplexity. He could not recall his own name, a classic calamity of wizardly witlessness. "Pray tell," quoth Sir Wobblebottom, scratching his head adorned with a hat that seemed to wobble more than he did, "what manner of moniker doth belong to this bewildered being?" His voice was but a whisper amidst the cacophony of chirping crickets and chortling chipmunks, who were all too eager to witness this whimsical wonder. The forest around him shimmered with spells and sparkles, each tree twinkling with tales untold. As he ambled aimlessly through the enchanted glade, he stumbled upon an ancient tome titled The Arcane Artifices of Amnesia. With great gusto and even greater confusion, he opened its pages only to be met with tongue-twisting incantations that danced before his eyes like fireflies on a midsummer's eve. "Zounds!" he exclaimed. "What sorcery is this? I cannot even pronounce abracadabra without sounding like a babbling brook. Yet, lo, amidst the absurdity lay an opportunity for enlightenment, for within those hallowed pages resided not just spells of forgetfulness, but also teachings on how to conjure clarity from chaos." With every turn of the page, Sir Wobblebottom felt a flicker of familiarity, a spark igniting within his muddled mind. "Perhaps," he pondered aloud, "if I could master this new spell called Nomenclaturus Recollectus, I might reclaim my rightful title." With determination befitting a knight-errant, or perhaps merely an eccentric elf, Sir Wobblebottom set about practicing this peculiar spell. He waved his wand, a rather floppy affair resembling a soggy spaghetti strand, and recited the incantation with all the fervour one could muster while simultaneously tripping over one's own feet. "Nomenclaturus Recollectus!" he bellowed, causing nearby squirrels to drop their acorns in astonishment. But hark, just as he believed success was nigh, an unexpected twist unfurled before him like the petals of an enchanted flower. Instead of regaining his name, Sir Wobblebottom found himself transformed into an iridescent jelly bean. "Oh dear," he lamented in gelatinous tones, "this is not quite what I envisioned when I sought enlightenment." The forest erupted into fits of laughter. Even the trees seemed to chuckle at his sugary predicament. In that moment of sticky silliness, however, something miraculous occurred. The very essence of magic swirled around him like cotton candy at a carnival, as if by divine design, or perhaps sheer coincidence, for who could truly tell. The enchantment began to unravel itself. The jelly bean began to shimmer and shake until, pop, he was restored once more to his former self, Sir Wobblebottom McFluffernutter. With newfound clarity and perhaps just a smidgen more humility than before, our hero chuckled heartily at the absurdity that had transpired. "Verily," he mused with sarcasm dripping from his words like honey from a hive, "I shall never again underestimate the power of names, or jelly beans for that matter." And thus did Sir Wobblebottom embark on further adventures armed not only with knowledge but also with laughter echoing through the enchanted woods. And so it came to pass that in teaching magic one must embrace both folly and wisdom alike, for every spell cast carries with it not just potential but also perilous surprises aplenty. Thus ends our tale, a whimsical reminder that sometimes losing oneself can lead one back home again. In yonder whimsical world, where wizards wield wondrous wands, whimsy doth reign supreme. Gather ye round, goodly folk, for a tale most absurd shall unfold. Picture, if thou wilt, a realm replete with capricious conjurers clad in cloaks of cerulean and crimson, prancing about with glee as they teach the art of arcane antics. Herein lies a lesson most peculiar, wherein the very fabric of magic is twisted and turned like a pretzel at a jester's feast. Lo, the esteemed Professor Puddlewhisker, known far and wide for his penchant for perplexity and puns, stood before his eager pupils. "Welcome," he bellowed with bombastic bravado. "Today we embark upon an expedition into the enigmatic essence of enchantments, but beware, for within this lesson lurks a new spell, one that may tickle thy fancy or turn thee into a toadstool." The students gasped in gleeful horror. What could be more delightful than the prospect of becoming fungi? With a flourish of his wand, a rather flamboyant affair bedecked with baubles and bells, Professor Puddlewhisker began to elucidate the intricacies of incantations. "First," he intoned with exaggerated gravitas, "thou must master the tongue-twisting terminology. 'Tis not merely about waving thy wand, nay, it is about weaving words like a spider spins its silken web." He then proceeded to demonstrate an incantation so convoluted that even the most astute scholars found themselves befuddled. "Behold!" he exclaimed as he conjured forth a cacophony of colours that danced about the room like madcap marionettes. "This spell be known as Flibberty-Gibbet's Frivolous Fandango." A most merry mishmash indeed. Yet amidst the merriment, one student, a particularly precocious lad named Thistlethorn, raised his hand with an air of scepticism. But, Professor, he queried with feigned innocence, what if we accidentally cast it upon ourselves? Aha, replied Puddle-Whisker with mock seriousness. That is where the true test lies. For if thou dost miscast Flibberty-Gibbet's frivolous fandango upon thine own self, thou shalt find thyself flailing about in fits of laughter while sprouting feathers from thy forehead. The class erupted into raucous laughter at this ludicrous image. However, little did they know that Thistlethorn had concocted a cunning plan to unveil an even more outrageous spell. As the lesson progressed amidst giggles and guffaws, Thistlethorn whispered to his fellow classmates about his secretive scheme. What if we were to create our own spell, one that would turn our dear professor into a dancing dodo? The idea was met with wild enthusiasm. Thus began their clandestine collaboration on Dodo Dazzle, an incantation designed to befuddle even the most seasoned sorcerers. Yet lo, just as they prepared to unleash their newfound magic upon Professor Puddle-Whisker, calamity struck. In their fervour and folly, they inadvertently invoked Flibberty-Gibbet's frivolous fandango instead. With nary a moment's notice, feathers burst forth from every corner of the classroom as laughter echoed through hallowed halls. The professor himself became ensnared in this whimsical whirlwind. In an unexpected twist worthy of any grand tale spun by fate's fickle fingers, Professor Puddle-Whisker found himself transformed not into a dodo, but rather into an exuberant emu. Well played, he cackled amidst peals of laughter while flapping his newfound wings. Thou hast taught me well, I shall henceforth embrace this absurdity. And thus did chaos reign supreme within those enchanted walls. As the dust settled and feathers floated gently down like confetti at a carnival, Professor Puddle-Whisker returned to his human form with but a flick of his wand. Remember this day, he proclaimed triumphantly, for magic is not merely about spells and sorcery, it is also about camaraderie and caprice. With hearts lightened by laughter and minds ignited by imagination, they vowed to continue exploring this whimsical world where whimsy reigned supreme. So stay tuned for further magical mayhem in our next episode. Until then, keep thy wands ready and thy hats high. Who knows what delightful absurdities await just beyond yonder horizon?